Hello, welcome to a special extended design time. I'm Jackie Lacey. In my role as an educator and as National President of AIFD, I have had the opportunity to work with a lot of new florists to the industry and those that are striving to reach their goal of accreditation at the state level or to have the opportunity to become a member of AIFD. This allows me a lot of time to observe some of the challenges many florists face in their floral journey and understanding the elements and principles of design, the many techniques to learn as part of this process, and how to utilize these to your advantage when creating a design. One of the areas that I have observed as a growing challenge to many florists is understanding creative flair. We're going to focus and make this a focus of our education over the coming months and give you several opportunities to study with us as part of our live interactive classes and design time presentations. So be sure to stay tuned to the end of this program for the schedule. Log on to florologyinstitute.com and check out our events and post on Facebook and Instagram for a complete schedule. What is the meaning of creative flair? How does it help me? How do I improve my use of creative flair? Flair is a noun meaning an aptitude or eagerness for something, or a distinctive style. Having the ability or power to create, characterized by originality of thought or inventiveness, having or showing imagination, a creative mind, designed to or tending to stimulate the imagination or invention. From this, we begin to understand that creative flair is the ability to create, showing imagination and stimulating the imagination of the viewer. We can deduct that creative flair should be more than simply using a different type of floral product. Doing an updated design or adding exotic flowers isn't necessarily creative flair. It has to be more than that. Techniques are a great way to add creative flair, but they have to be done with expertise and understanding of how the technique works in harmony with the composition. This is one way creative flair can help. It's not enough to just add a technique. It has to be executed with confidence and make sense to the design. One of the best ways to improve your creative flair is to practice. And remember, practice does not make perfect. It makes techniques better and makes you more in control of how well they work. Fall is upon us, and all that it brings is in the air. I love this time of year for all the color that we are provided, the crispness the mornings can offer, and the taste of harvest we find on every menu. Let's look at a few designs that have a touch of fall and how we might separate ourselves from the mass marketers, production line designs, and our competition. Let's take this design that we have here beside us. It has gourds and pumpkins. There's been some element of metal added in with the aluminum wire that's been tucked in there. We have the Indian corn has been bound together. A lot of people might say that this is a very creative design. It's really in the eye of most that understand how elements and principles work would say that it's an average design that might be pushed up a little bit in an upscale manner by the way it's presented. But if you'll notice the aluminum wire that's put in here, it's just been pieces that have been cut and circled around. It does expand the size. It makes it look a little bit larger than it would if it weren't in there at all. But you can see the bends in the wire. You can see the curves, the way that it's been manipulated and put in, so it might be crimped. If you're going to add anything like wire or something like that, you want to make sure that it's absolutely perfect. You want no crimps in that wire whatsoever. And you might want to do something if you're trying to add it for a touch of creative flair by begin to manipulate it and put some sort of design in that wire to show that you really understand how that can add and make the design more than it actually is, or give it the perception of being more. One thing that we can also look at is that keeping in line with today's style and demand of nature, instead of putting something like this that is not natural, we know it's just wire that's been added in there for color, you might want to take that to the next level by adding in some vine and some natural components that are going to really take that design to that next level. Now, is this creative flair? Not in and of itself. You would want to either bind it or manipulate it, show how that you have mastered the technique of adding this in. But we can begin to see how just adding in something a bit more natural is more in line with that harvest time of the year, gives the design a more full look, and sort of takes it to that next level that you were trying to do with the wire. But we can see how this makes more sense with the design. Now, what if we want to take this to the next level, use the same recipe, and add in creative flair? Let's look at this exact recipe done in a fashion that allows creative flair to really shine through. Now, as you can see, a bit smaller doesn't give that mass first reaction as much as this, but you can definitely see the creative flair that has been applied. Basing techniques will often really showcase your creative flair because they're clean, they're crisp, they're easy to see. We have some of these products that have been layered or staggered over the top of each other. We have binding that's in here. We have zoning that's available. All of those are great techniques that can take your creative flair to that next edge. Exact same recipe as what we've got over here. In fact, we've used a lot less of the foliage, a lot less of the fall leaves, and you can really appreciate all the products that are in this design. And that's really what creative flair is about. Adding that creative flair at the end of a well put together, thought out design can really make those techniques stand out. You want to make sure if you're going to go to the trouble to braid something, bind something, weave it, create roses out of aspidistra foliage, whatever the case may be that you're adding in for that creative flair, you want to make sure that it can be seen right away, that not just the viewer, but in the event that you're at a PFDE, which would be evaluators, or a competition where you would have judges, you want to make sure that those techniques stand out. They're easily obtainable. You can see the thought that went into them and how it works with the design. A little bit more modern, and creative flair does not always mean more modern or contemporary, but it is normally cleaner because you want those techniques to be seen. So remember, when you first start really looking at what is creative flair, think about your basing techniques, how they can work, how you can clean up some of the designs that you already know and have in your wheelhouse, and take something that's traditional and well thought out like this, and then push it to the next level by adding in creative flair. Let's take just a moment to look at a couple of more designs and look at what creative flair can be added to those. As we look at these two designs, we can see that they're distinctively different. Beautiful fall design put together. It's got those golds and those reds. Adding a touch of purple in the fall really will pump up the other colors. Someone called and ordered a centerpiece that was tall. So it might naturally, looking at what products you've got available, You may immediately go to putting something tall in the center like this. You can still see through it should people be eating at the table, but if it's being used as a buffet piece, then it can be observed from all the way around the table. We've added a bit of volume by adding in the curly willow here in sort of a free-form manner. But is that creative flair? It is a creative touch. So make sure you know the difference between creative flair and adding a creative touch or a creative style. Great, beautiful gold bowl, nice design for the fall. Most anyone would love to get it, but if you're going for competition or for certification, you want to make sure that the creative flair you're adding not only takes your design work to that next level, but also will separate you from your competition. Here, again, we've taken the same recipe, same amount of flowers, but we're really letting the flowers be our volume. Same height on both of them, but we took the curly willow and we've made a curly willow armature. So we have added in 2 pieces of curly willow here, but we've reduced some of the other products to make up the price difference for that. Creating that armature gives us a great base to lace all the flowers through. Cleaning the stems very well gives you that great modern sort of updated look where you can see through it again, but you can see distinctive difference between both of these. Basing techniques are shown down here at the bottom, just like we talked about earlier. You really can see how we've clustered and grouped the products. It makes the color stronger, it makes the texture stronger. By leaving the flowers at the height that they are, we can see and appreciate every one of them. So maybe now it's a little easier to understand the difference between creative flair in a design and just having a creative edge. You want to make sure that the techniques show through, that you're showing that you truly understand the difference between the elements and principles and how to manipulate those to really showcase the floral product. This gives us great height, great technique on all sides, shows that we understand how to make an armature and use that to our advantage, and really showcases the flowers. Beautiful fall design, a little bit more of a modern edge that's clean and ready to be evaluated in one of your competitions or evaluation process. We're going to look at one more. White has been a really strong color choice for the fall over the last several years. Everyone loved the white pumpkins. A lot of the creative people that were doing painting were painting pumpkins, painting faces on them. We began to see white pumpkins, gray pumpkins, black and white pumpkins, harlequin painted ones for several years in a row, but they've started to pull back. Now, white and orange is a really great color choice for the holidays, but for this one, I really wanted to keep it more natural because we are seeing more of a request for going back to nature, that rustic sort of hometown feeling, and it can be very elegant. As we can see, this is in a beautiful texturized ceramic bowl that's low to the table. You could do it in something like a gravy boat or a large compote that would go in the center of the table. Again, it looks very elegant with that white and green, but we can see the touches of fall with the lotus pods, the acorn squash that's added down in there, the white pumpkins being added in. Tuck in some fall leaves if you want to bring in a little bit more color. But again, really what we wanted to do here was to keep it white and green and showcase some of the white choice for the fall. Great design, but looking for the creative edge, we just see a mass design that's a beautiful table centerpiece for the fall or for that fall table. We can take this to the next level by really pushing that creative edge and doing something like this, where we've taken some of that same products. We have taken our curly willow, we've made an armature to go on the inside of the bowl to keep everything inside here. We've tightened up on our floral products, so we've reduced the amount of product by quite a bit that could easily go into accent pieces that you might sell with this or sit on another table in the same room. Now, what I would encourage the client to do is to use this flat on the table with candles in the container, votive candles outside, and maybe those two little designs done in a white pumpkin to sit on either side of that. Clean, sharp, and with some creative flair. We've manipulated the foliage and stripped it off to give us those really sharp, clean lines. We've created that armature to go on the inside of this to really bind and hold our product together and to give it a little bit more of an upscale look. Creative flair is techniques that will show your masterful use of elements and principles of design and how they work with the entire composition. So what I want you to do, I want you to think about those things that you're really comfortable with, those techniques that you know how to do forwards and backwards. And you want to master those as your creative flair that could be added to any design for any holiday or for any everyday design, a sympathy design that you might be doing. Having those go-to techniques that you can add with any floral product is going to give you the ability to be prepared for any certification process or any competition that you might order. Remember, creative flair is a technique that shows imagination, the creation of something that's masterful, and executing it properly. I hope this will help you understand a little bit more about creative flair and how it works with your design. Again, be sure and check out florologyinstitute.com for all of our events and upcoming classes that are available. Follow us on Facebook or check out our YouTube page. We always update the events on all those places to keep you informed. We've got another one coming up in December that will help get you through the holidays. And then we start back to our education classes and interactive classes in January. So I hope to see you in one of the classes, and I hope to see you again next time for Design Time.